รายการต่อไปนี้เป็นรายการทั่วไปสามารถรับชมได้ทุกวัย
สนับสนุนโดย
รุ่นใหม่ Isuzu D-Max 1.9 DDI Blue Power
World Camera กันเองทุกเรื่องกล้องและการถ่ายภาพ
ถ้าเรามีนัดกับใครสักคนในต่างประเทศนะคะแต่ว่าเดินทางถึงก่อนนัดเราจะบอกคนเสิร์ฟยังไงคะว่ายังไม่พร้อมที่จะสั่ง
What would you like to order?
Oh, I'm waiting for a friend. We'll order later.
Alright.
Yes. I will order later. I will order later. แปลว่าเดี๋ยวฉันค่อยสั่งค่ะ Excuse me. Have you got Wi-Fi?
Yes, we do.
Can I get a password?
Here it is.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Have you got Wi-Fi? Have you got Wi-Fi? แปลว่าคุณมีอินเทอร์เน็ต Wi-Fi หรือเปล่าแล้วถ้าเกิดคุณผู้ชมนะคะต้องการขอรหัสผ่านก็พูดง่ายๆเลยค่ะว่า Can I get a password? Can I get a password? ขอขอบคุณ Isuzu Mu-X 1.9 DDI Blue Power ที่ให้การสนับสนุนการเรียนรู้ภาษาอังกฤษค่ะ
Isuzu Mu-X Blue Power เอกสิทธิ์แห่งความสุขที่อยู่รอบตัว
I just want to get this data to the world
เมื่อโลกเข้าสู่ยุคโลกาภิวัตน์ไม่ว่าคุณจะอยู่ที่ไหนก็สามารถติดต่อสื่อสารถึงกันผ่านโซเชียลเน็ตเวิร์กได้ตลอดเวลาโดยอาจไม่รู้ว่ามีใครบางคนกำลังจับตาทุกความเคลื่อนไหวของคุณ Edward Snowden อดีต CIA และนักวิเคราะห์ข่าวกอง NSA ผู้มีทักษะการเขียนโปรแกรมเป็นเลิศคือคนที่ออกมาเปิดเผยข้อมูลลับสุดยอดของโครงการสอดแนมขนาดใหญ่ในโลกไซเบอร์โดยรัฐบาลสหรัฐอเมริกาที่ทำให้ทั้งโลกต้องตกตะลึงและนี่คือจุดเริ่มต้นที่ทำให้สโนเดนกลายเป็นนักโทษถูกตามไล่ล่าจากรัฐบาลและต้องลี้ภัยทางการเมืองไปยังต่างแดนอย่างเสี่ยงชีวิตเป็นที่สุด
This is everything I have. They're gonna figure out what I've done.
Did you access an unauthorized program?
The government knows that we have these documents now.
จากเรื่องจริงอันเข้มข้นสุดระทึกบัดนี้ถูกนำมาสร้างเป็นภาพยนตร์โดยโอลิเวอร์สโตนผู้กำกับ3รางวัลออสการ์ผู้หาญกล้าที่มักนำประเด็นซึ่งเป็นที่ถกเถียงในสังคมมานำเสนอด้วยผลงานที่สร้างจากเหตุการณ์จริงและชีวประวัติบุคคลสำคัญที่โดดเด่นและเป็นที่น่าจดจำมากมายเช่น Platoon Wall Street JFK หรือ World Trade Center และล่าสุดกับ Snowden ที่ดัดแปลงจากหนังสือ The Snowden Files โดยลุค ฮาร์ดิงและ Time of the Octopus โดยอนาโตลีครุชเชเรนาผู้ที่มารับบทสโนเดนสุดท้าทายคือนักแสดงชายมากความสามารถผู้ถูกเสนอชื่อเข้าชิงรางวัลลูกโลกทองคำโจเซฟ กอร์ดอน เลวิตจาก Inception และ The Dark Knight Rises ประกบคู่กับชัยลิน วูดลีย์นักแสดงสาวชื่อดังจากภาพยนตร์แฟรนไชส์วัยรุ่น Divergent ในบทแฟนสาว ลินเซ่ มิลส์รวมด้วยนักแสดงสมทบคุณภาพชื่อดังอีกคับข้างไม่ว่าจะเป็นแซคคารี ควินโตในบทนักข่าวเกรน กรีนวอลด์เมลิซา ลีโอในบทนักทำหนังสารคดี ลอร่า พลอยทัสและนิโคลัส เคจกับบทบาทผู้เชี่ยวชาญพิเศษด้านคอมพิวเตอร์ที่ NSA Snowden เปิดตัวฉายที่งานคอมิกคอนปี 2016 ก่อนจะฉายรอบปฐมทัศน์อย่างเป็นทางการในเทศกาลภาพยนตร์ Toronto International Film Festival ปีล่าสุดท่ามกลางกระแสนักวิจารณ์ที่พูดถึงในแง่บวกมากมายเป็นภาพยนตร์ที่ก่อให้เกิดแรงกระตุ้นประเด็นดราม่าการเมืองเรื่องสำคัญที่สุดแห่งปีจาก Variety เซ็กซี่ขัดแย้งชวนตะลึงจาก New York Daily Newsก็เกิดไอเดียการโต้แย้งสร้างแรงบันดาลใจจาก Washington Post ด้วยทุนสร้างกว่า 40 ล้านเหรียญจากการตระเวนถ่ายทำถึง 4 ประเทศทั้งเยอรมันรัสเซียจีนและสหรัฐอเมริกานานกว่า 3 เดือนด้วยกล้องดิจิตอลรุ่นใหม่ล่าสุดคุณภาพสูงความชัดระดับ 6K ให้ภาพเทียบเท่าฟิล์ม 65 มิลลิเมตรซึ่งถือเป็นภาพยนตร์เรื่องแรกของผู้กำกับโอลิเวอร์ สโตนที่ถ่ายทำด้วยกล้องดิจิตอลทั้งเรื่องบัดนี้พร้อมแล้วที่จะให้คุณผู้ชมชาวไทยร่วมระทึกไปกับการเอาตัวรอดของบุคคลที่สหรัฐต้องการตัวมากที่สุดมาร่วมพิสูจน์กันว่าแท้จริงแล้วชายผู้นี้เป็นฮีโร่หรืออาชญากรกันแน่ในสโนเดนอัจฉริยะจารกรรมเขย่ามหาอำนาจ 6 ตุลาคมนี้ในโรงภาพยนตร์
They're gonna come for all of you too.
However, after so many years of fame, fortune, everything. You don't seem to have slowed down at all.
I like this work. I like. How do you slow down when you're interested in the truth? Think about that. I mean, maybe slowing down is a way to get to the truth.
Right.
Maybe that's, but certainly meditation and Buddhism helps.
So you are a Buddhist.
I'm trying to be a good one, but it's very tough sometimes. You know, life is complicated. But being in Asia helps relax me and seeing the changes. I haven't been here in a few years, actually, 4 or 5 years. But it's always nice to come back. But slowing down, no, I did a documentary after Savages in 2012, which is called The Untold History of the United States. That was released in 2013 in the United States. And then just as it was being released is when Snowden affair happened in June of 2013. So in a way, that story, which goes from 1890s to 2013 when Obama was president, it was right after I finished the documentary, this Snowden affair comes up, and it seems like an extension. In other words, it seemed weird, but I didn't want to chase the news because it changes all the time. So a year, 2 years go into a movie, you know, it's impossible. So here it comes, this Snowden affair right after. It was bizarre. Like, well, you got to go on with this story, but now it's going to be a dramatization.
But at first you were reluctant to do
Very much
Snowden.
so, yeah.
Why?
Because as I said, I don't want to chase the news. I'm not a...
It was too current.
The news changes all the time. People's blah, blah, blah. A movie takes too long. It should be a real story, and it has to have a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Right.
Powerful.
What changed your mind?
What changed my mind was getting invited to Moscow by the Russian lawyer for Mr. Snowden to meet him. And I met him there in January of 2014. He was nervous, but he revealed enough to get me. I felt like he would reveal more. And I went back 2 more times, and I brought my co-writer in, a co-writer to work with me, a young man who knew technology very well, computer world, which I didn't. Snowden warmed up gradually. I went 9 times total over the next 2.5 years. And
what kind of a guy is he?
What he seems to be. People don't believe that, but he's a straight arrow. He's square. A Boy Scout. He really believes in the Constitution of the United States. He's super intelligent. Works in code. He became he advanced up the ranks in the NSA to being a major cyber operator, cyber warfare operator on the offensive against China. And on the defensive also. Major young man, but as he went along, as we see in the movie, you see that as he gets more and more access, he doesn't like what he's seen at all because he's seen a criminal world. He's seen, put it this way, the USA deployed, developed a massive global surveillance system without democratic consent. That was his point. And he revealed it, not for money. He gave all the information away for free to journalists, the 3 journalists that he respected. And he said, you do with this information what you want. You print what you want, but don't hurt anybody.
He didn't demand money?
Not at all, no. He was, as I said, he's very much of a Boy Scout. A spy gets money. You know, that's why it makes no sense. I mean, they say the Russians spy, blah, blah. But, you know, he lives in Russia because they took his passport away. And he was stuck. He couldn't go to Ecuador. The U.S. really wouldn't let him. The truth is he's criticized the Russian surveillance system as well as the American. He's against it in general. He would like the democratic principle to be the ruler, that the people should know. But what's complicated in the story is that the information is complicated. It's difficult for people to really get their heads around what mass surveillance means. And we in the movie, I think we try to help that. And it's difficult, you know, because people, they tend to be a little lazy. And they don't go. So they know Snowden as a traitor, they say he gave away secrets, he hurt the United States. There's nothing to prove that. To the contrary.
But he knew he was breaking the law, right?
He knew he was breaking the law. But he was, as he, I'm putting words in his mouth, he was obeying a higher law. The law of the Constitution. He took a loyalty oath to the Constitution, he thinks, not to the NSA, which was, you know, 30,000 people worked there. Every one of them was breaking the law by taking part in this system.
So this movie will show how he went through this very serious thinking before he made the decision to be a whistleblower. Is this movie showing him as a hero, a patriot, or a traitor?
Well, that's the point of the movie. You see, well, at the stages at the beginning of the movie, he's a libertarian. He believes the government should be limited in its involvement in our lives. And then, as the movie goes, he becomes more and more upset by what he's seeing. And he basically, you decide for yourself. The movie doesn't make the movie doesn't make an outright
No conclusion.
But it's clear to those who listen and pay attention that what he did was out of patriotism and love of country, because he thinks we're going down the wrong path. He wants, as I do, and many people who think about it, he wants targeted surveillance. In the movie, he says to his superiors,
Surveillance is okay as long as it's targeted.
Yes, you find the suspect, you get reasonable cause, suspicious activity. You get a warrant from a judge, a secret warrant if you want, but at least it's somebody else has approved it, and then you go into this surveillance. And that is what actually is going on in the world. If you look at all the profiles from 9/11 on, all the things that have blown up, that, they had some kind of knowledge about the person. They have a background, and they should have been, most of those people should have been under surveillance, but they were not, because of screw-ups between agencies, countries, intelligence agencies. At 9/11, for example, the NSA had signals, very clear signals on who some of these hijackers were, because they had a safe house in Yemen, in Sana'a, and then these hijackers moved to San Diego via Malaysia. They had all the information. They knew what they were doing. Their pilot training, but they didn't pass that on to the FBI. And the FBI, on its own behalf, has made numerous mistakes, including their own field agents have reported pilots training, that, suspicious, but they didn't even make it past Washington.
Right.
And the CIA, as you know, Mr. Tenet of the CIA was not pushing. He says he was pushing, but the Bush administration was paying no attention to this. No attention. It was so many clear signals were given. So we need to have intelligence agencies that are cooperating, and across countries too. No. And in Paris, same problem happened. We knew who those people were. So that's what Snowden is saying. He's saying mass surveillance, there's no reason for it. It slows down. It gums up the process. It makes everything much more complicated. And it's also a violation of our rights,
Sure. So when you told him you were doing a movie on him, was he reluctant in the beginning?
As I said, he said that publicly. He didn't want to be the story. He wanted to leave this behind. He thought he'd be dead. He didn't, or in a prison. He never really thought much about his exit. He ended up, in a way, lucky because WikiLeaks took an interest in him, Julian Assange, and provided an escape route out of Hong Kong. He got to Moscow on his way to Ecuador, and then his passport was revoked by Mr. Kerry in the State Department.
So he's still stuck in Moscow today.
Stuck well, he's flowering in the sense that he's on a computer. He's in touch with the world that he knows.
Right.
And his girlfriend of 9 years, she's in the movie, very important role.
Right.
She joined him. So in a way, it worked out. I mean, as he says, he's never felt better in his life because he's clear. He can sleep well at night. His conscience is clear about what he's done.
คุณเชิดศักดิ์ได้หนัง Snowden มาอย่างไรครับ
เป็นจริงๆเป็นอุบัติเหตุนะครับ เพราะว่าเราเองเนี่ยไม่ได้มีความตั้งใจที่จะทำเกี่ยวกับเรื่องเข้าโรงอะไรเงี้ยครับแต่ว่าวันนี้เราเตรียมการกันที่จะทำ entertainment นะครับแล้วก็ให้ความรู้ต่างๆไปยังเด็กได้ต่างจังหวัดอะไรนะครับในลักษณะของการที่จะเผยแพร่เรื่องความรู้เรื่องเรียนติวเรื่องต่างๆวันนี้วันหนึ่งคุยกับคุณอรุณศักดิ์แล้วคุณอรุณศักดิ์ก็ให้ไอเดียเยอะแยะเลยหนึ่งในไอเดียนั้นคือว่าเราต้องไป export ดูต่างประเทศที่มันจะมีหนังวิชาการอะไรดีต่างๆก็เลยไปเมืองคานนี่คุณรู้สักไปเมืองคานแล้วหนังเรื่อง Snowden ยังไม่เสร็จเลยนะครับ
ยังถ่ายทำอยู่
ยังถ่ายทำอยู่
เมื่อปีไหนครับ
ปี15ครับปี2015 2014เริ่มต้น
2 ปีก่อนครับไปที่คาน
แล้วพอไปมาแล้วก็เขาชอบโอลิเวอร์ สโตนอยู่แล้วเป็นส่วนตัวนะครับแล้วก็ เขาก็เลยไปเซ็นจองไว้ที่นั่น
แล้วไปเจอยังไงตอน
ข
นั้
อน อนุญาต
รู้ว่า
ขออนุญาต
ครับ
ขออนุญาตเล่านิดหนึ่งนะ
ครั
ฮะ
บ
คือก่อนที่จะมาตรงจุดเนี้ยคือผมก็เป็นคนที่ทำหนังเราก็หามีข้อมูลอะไรพวกนี้อยู่ก็ตามโอลิเวอร์สโตนว่าเรื่องต่อไปเขาจะทำอะไร ก็ไปเจอข่าวออนไลน์นะฮะว่าเขามีการซุบซิบเตรียมกันอย่างเงี้ยเราก็เลยเจาะเข้าไปโดยที่ก็แอบนะเพราะว่าเราเป็นผู้ซื้อรายใหม่นะวงการหนังบ้านเราบางที
แต่ตอนนั้นข่าวออกมาได้ยังว่าโอลิเวอร์สโตนจะทำเรื่อง Snowden
ยังนะ
ยังใช่ไหม
อย่างเพราะมีเล็ดลอดมานิดหน่อยๆแล้วเราเห็น
เขาเนี่ยโอลิเวอร์สโตนผมสัมภาษณ์เขาเนี่ยเขาจะบอกว่าเขาจะไม่พูดถึงหนังเรื่องต่อไปเสมอเพราะว่าเขาไม่อยากให้มีการตั้งความหวังไว้หรือข่าวรั่วออกไปเหมือนกับนักข่าวก็ไม่อยากจะให้ข่าวเอ็กซ์คลูซีฟรั่วออกไป
นี่เราจังหวะปุ๊บไปเห็นข่าวนี้น่าสนใจ
แล้วเราก็ประจำทุกปีเนี่ยจะมีการจัดการ
เทศกาลหนังเมืองคานส์ครับ
เมืองคานส์ซึ่งไปเจอซุ้มหนึ่งมีซุ้มหนึ่งที่ขาย
คือเป็นนี้ฮะคือเราดิวกันเบื้องต้นก่อนที่จะไปแล้วที่ไปเมืองคานนี่คือเรานัดเลยเรานัดเพื่อไปเจอกับวายบันช์ซึ่งตอนนั้นเนี่ยเมืองไทยยังไม่มีใครสนใจที่จะเอาหนังเรื่องนี้เลยเราก็ไป
หนังอย่างนี้เนี่ยส่วนใหญ่เมืองไทยหรือว่าคนที่ทำทางด้านหนังในเมืองไทยจะไม่ค่อยสนใจใช่ไหม
ใช่ครับ
เพราะมันหนักเลย
มันไม่ใช่หนังตลาดดีกว่าไม่ใช่หนังตลาด
เราเองตอนที่ได้มาเราก็ลังเลนะเพราะเราก็มีความชำนาญในด้านนี้ไม่มีอะไรนั่นเองแต่ว่าเราพอเข้าไปดูต้องโทษพี่เลยพอมีเรื่องสโนเดนมาก็เลยเข้าไปดูปรากฏว่าไปดูหนังเรื่องซีซั่น4
ซึ่งเป็นสารคดีมากกว่า
ซึ่งเราเข้าไปดูแล้วโอ้โหเรื่องนี้จะเป็นประวัติศาสตร์เราก็คุยกันคือหนังเรื่องนี้จะถือว่าแพงกันนะครับต้องยอมรับว่าแพงนะครับแล้วก็เราไปดูมาแล้วเนี่ยเราเรื่องนี้จะเป็นประวัติศาสตร์แล้วจะเป็นคุณประโยชน์กับประเทศนี้อย่างยิ่งในด้านสื่อสารมวลชนในด้านการข่าวการอะไรเราก็เลยกล้ากลัวตัดสินใจมาลงหัวกันคิดแล้วพวกน้องๆสงหลาผมก็มานั่งช่วยกันคิดแล้วก็เราตกลงทำเรื่องนี้พอทำเรื่องนี้มาเราก็ได้รับความกรุณาช่วยเหลือจากคนหลายๆคนที่ซึ่งเรารู้จักกันนะครับไม่ว่าจะเป็นคุณวิชาไม่ว่าจะคุณเฮนรี่หรือว่าคุณจะสื่อมวลชนพี่นะกลุ่มเนชั่นมาแต่ทุกคนให้ความช่วยเหลือเราก็จึงมาถึงวันนี้ได้
ครับแล้วจะคิดตอนนั้นคิดได้ไงว่าคนไทยจะสนใจสโนว์
ผมตามข่าวสโนเดนด้วยครับเราก็รู้โหเรื่องนี้มันเป็นผมว่ามันเป็นฮอตอิชชูของโลก
ได้ดูซิติเซน4ก่อนหรือเปล่า
ผมไม่ทันได้ดูแต่ผมรู้เรื่องฮะเพราะว่าเราตามข่าวนี้อยู่ไม่มีจังหวะได้ดูแต่ว่าผมรู้จักหนังเรื่องนี้ดี
เป็นสารคดีมาก
ครับ
คือ
เป็นเรื่องจริง
นักเขาเนี่ยไปคุยกับนักข่าวของการเดียนแล้วก็นัดพบกันที่ฮ่องกงยังไงแล้วก็มีการตกลงกันว่าจะเปิดเผยเนื้อหาโดยที่สโนว์เดนพร้อมจะให้ความร่วมมือยังไงแต่ว่าเรื่องหนังสโนว์เดนที่อลิเวอร์สโตนทำเนี่ยเป็นดราม่าเลยใช่ไหม
ครับใช่ครับ
แล้วเรื่องนี้จริงๆแล้วเนี่ยผมโดยส่วนตัวผมอยู่ในเหตุการณ์ในวันช่วงลงผมอยู่ในเหตุการณ์ในวัน1 วันก่อนเกิดในวันเนี่ยผมยังนั่งดื่มเบียร์อยู่ที่ไอ้ World Trade Station อยู่เลย1 วันก่อนเกิดในวันที่9ที่10ผมอยู่ที่ World Trade Station ที่นิวยอร์กก็พอเกิดเรื่องนั้นมาเนี่ยเรารู้เลยนะครับว่าการก่อการร้ายเนี่ยเป็นสิ่งที่น่าสะเทือนมากแล้วมีความจำเป็นที่รัฐต้องแสวงหาข้อมูลมีความจำเป็นอย่างยิ่งเลยนะครับเพราะฉะนั้นเนี่ยเราเข้าใจแล้วผมพอดูคลิปเรื่องนี้เสร็จแล้วเราเลยว่าจุดลงตัวมันคือว่าต้องทำให้เกิดความลงตัวได้ระหว่างความมั่นคงปลอดภัยของประเทศชาตินะครับความมั่นคงปลอดภัยของประชาชนกับสิทธิส่วนบุคคล
wanted the dialogue to be accurate to what the NSA would talk like these people, and I think.
So you did get a chance to check the script.
Yeah, I brought the script twice, and then I brought the film twice.
Okay.
So
did you make a lot of changes?
I said, really, if there's something wrong here, please tell me. I don't want to embarrass you or me myself. And he did the best he could, and said, this is fine. Technically, this is as close to reality as it can get in a movie.
สนับสนุนโดยยูโรเค้กอร่อยทุกที่ทุกเวลา Premium Outlet Factory Outlet ของแบรนด์เนมระดับพรีเมียม Only Camry ยากที่ใครจะตามทัน
How did you convince him to cooperate?
I think he's very bright. I think he trusted us, and also I think
of course he knew you in advance. When you flew in there, he knew.
No, he'd seen a little bit of untold history, I'm told.
Really?
No, he really wasn't a film buff at all. So I think he realized that in the course of things, they would make a movie about him. I think.
Yeah.
But he may have been. But so he wanted to get the facts out there, the facts that he had. It's his version of these events, and that's what we were able to do.
Did you promise that it would be his version of himself?
As much as we could. I mean, if it got really boring, I'd tell him, and I said, look, we've got to figure out a way to say this in another way, blah, blah. He knows that a movie has to have a broad audience. It's not a documentary. And I think he made very positive suggestions. He said, I can't tell you this, but this could have happened, or that could have happened, you see. So he outlined a path. And very importantly for me, because I'm a stickler for dialogue, he really wanted the dialogue to be accurate to what the NSA would talk like, these people. And I think...
So he did get a chance to check the script.
Yeah, I brought the script twice, and then I brought the film twice.
Okay.
So
did he make a lot of changes?
I said, really, if there's something wrong here, please tell me. I don't want to embarrass you or me myself. And he did the best he could and said, this is fine. Technically, this is as close to reality as it can get in a movie. That was his quote to the Financial Times.
Yeah.
But he's humble. I mean, he's not at all. He's such the opposite of this. It's what's important to get the message out. I think the movie shows you how some of these programs work. Not all. It showed you cyber warfare when he was in Japan. He talks about implanting malware in Japan. That's our ally. And he said so that in the event that Japan was no longer our ally, it'd be lights out. Now, lights out means gumming up the infrastructure and electronics of the country. The railroad stations wouldn't run on time. The lights would go out. The dams would have malfunctions. So all of which has happened in the world. It happened in Iran in 2007. The U.S. attacked with Israel, cyber warfare, blew up the centrifuges. They rebuilt them in 6 months, but the virus was found out and examined, and it was analyzed. These viruses are now being built and developed by Russia, China, Iran, as well as independent, brilliant minds, hackers. And they're hacking everything, as you can see in the world. Every business that has got a vulnerability. And now even the NSA has been hacked. I don't know if you know this recently.
Yeah, I've read about it.
An NSA server was hacked. So it's a crazy world. No one will know the next time who did what. But Miss Clinton throws out crazy accusations like the Russians did the DNC. She doesn't know that. And any intelligence official will tell you that's not, we don't know that yet. And even if they did, we've been hacking the Russians.
Does Snowden know? Did Snowden tell you?
No, he doesn't know because you have to analyze the virus. That was only a month ago. I mean, 2 months ago. It would take maybe 6-7 months. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But in other words, we'll start a war and no one will know who started that war. That's what's dangerous about that.
That is frightening.
Yeah.
So how is Snowden different from Citizen 4?
Well, it's a dramatization of 9 years. And Citizen 4 is a slice of life. It's a fine film. It's a slice of life for 5 days in Hong Kong. And I don't know that I understood what was going on. I know that he had secrets, but what were the secrets and what were they about and how do they function in this world? So this fills out the film. And also shows you a relationship with a human being, Lindsay. Without that relationship, I don't think the film would work. In other words,
so it's about him being human.
Him being human. It humanizes him, yes. At the same time, it tells you a few things about what's going on in the world that is very complex.
Some movie critics say you are too sober on this one. You don't buy the Oliver Stone standards. This is strikingly sober, according to the New York Times. Are you getting old or feel mellowed? Has the work caught up with you?
No, I think when Mr. Snowden told me, what I realized what he was telling us was very important. So you can't fuck it up because in the JFK case, it was a fractured narrative because it was a very unclear case. I was taking what I consider the official narrative and punching holes in it and suggesting an alternate narrative. There's a whole other scenario. We know what the NSA thinks. We know what they're doing now.
Right.
But I was interested in getting what Snowden was saying had to be represented carefully, not making mistakes. Because if there had been big mistakes or exaggerations, it would have undermined the film. So I was very conscious of the responsibility because he's also alive. He's well. It's not like somebody who's dead.
Sure.
I would do that anyway.
So
with
you're
a dead
worried
person.
about his safety too.
His safety? No. Yes, of course. But I'm just saying, if he's giving us his story, if he hadn't talked, let's say, or hadn't opened up, it gave me a little bit of information, maybe we would have made the film in another way and had more surprises, car chases, killings, and so forth like that. That is more of an enemy of the state type of film, or a Bourne Identity.
Right.
This was done soberly because it was as close to we can get to the truth of what's going on in that agency.
And you think that he likes it?
Oh, he does. He saw it, and he's seen it, and he approved it, and he was very pleased. But he's not a moviegoer.
No.
But he's happy.
Is he paid for it? Is he paid for this, for cooperating with you?
No, not at all. No. Gave us information freely.
This film was released 2 weeks ago in America. 16?
3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago. How has it been received?
The reviews were mixed in America, always are. What's important is the cinema score, which is they interview thousands of people who go to the movie. It was an A, which is the best score I've ever had. In other words, people like it when they see it, but not enough Americans know about Mr. Snowden enough to care.
Why do you think American people are not interested enough in Snowden?
Maybe you could argue that the Trump-Clinton election is their single focus, which is a shame. It could be, and also it's a sober subject because I think American people, without thinking, see Snowden. He looks different. He gave away secrets. He hurt the country. They believe the official take. Be nice if, we're having, it's being seen, and it'll be seen more on video and so forth and so on. We'll get there. Maybe there'll be a little more acknowledgement of what he is and what he did.
So you are portraying him as a hero in the film?
No, we're portraying him step by step as a caterpillar coming out of the cocoon. You see him at the beginning.
Any negative side of him?
The only negatives that I see is, I was asked that many times, he is a square. I mean, he doesn't chase women, he doesn't drink, he doesn't do anything, go social or anything like I would do. He's nothing excessive. But what he is a workaholic, and if anything, I think a flaw is emotional repression. With his girlfriend, you see it. He doesn't have this ability to come out and say things. He feels them deeply inside, but he lives inside so much. That would be a flaw. And then you see him in the movie, true story, he has the epilepsy. And remember, that comes at a key moment in his life, first time he had it. And who knows, you never know the origin of it, but you see where it's tension. There's an inner spiritual sickness that's growing in him, I think. And I feel that breakdown is, he's uncomfortable, deeply uncomfortable with where he is in the world. And it's this agency has gotten under his skin. And he can't any longer work there because his soul is at stake. That's the way I see it. On probably dramatic terms. But I do think he saves his soul by doing what he's doing.
Was there any critical point when he decided to do it, or before he was feeling guilty about it, he was feeling uncertain, and then suddenly there was this moment he decided?
Well, I can't say suddenly. You never know these things, and we didn't try to find that one moment, but it was clear that when he goes back to Washington and he works in Maryland for the Dell company contracting with the CIA, selling hardware to the CIA, he said to me, he says, my life was perfect. I was rich. I was making more money than I'd ever made. My girlfriend was very happy in the house we had in Washington, in Maryland, and she had a job, and things were just going fine. But why can't I be happy? And he goes into that whole monologue and then he realizes that he just needs to find out more. So the epilepsy leads to Hawaii, where he can find some relaxation, but he doesn't take the pills in Hawaii, if you remember. He doesn't take the Tegretol, which is interesting because he wants to know more, and it becomes more tense in Hawaii because what he's finding out is horrible. The cyber warfare thing.
It got worse.
It got worse. Right?
Yeah.
I think he was a miserable man, and I think the day he went to Hong Kong, and the day he gave the secrets to those journalists, it changed the man. It gave him freedom of conscience.
Right. Did he consult his girlfriend before he decided to take
Not
the
before.
plunge?
She came in during the process.
So he made up his mind without consulting his girlfriend.
He couldn't say a word to her to protect her.
That means he was not sharing his
Couldn't do it. No.
process
It's
of.
impossible to be married to a guy like that.
Yeah, I know. If I were the girl, I would feel bad.
Or a man
My life
married
is
to a
part
woman.
of your life, you see?
Or a man married to a woman like Valerie Plame. Remember Valerie Plame?
Yeah.
I mean, there's any professional is basically living two lives.
And you too. Are you living with two
Why do you
lives?
say that?
So what's wrong with
ช่วงหน้า
Hillary Clinton?
You know, if you really look at her record, she was one of the worst foreign secretaries we ever had.
What's wrong with Trump?
And he wants more military might, more surveillance. He wants to execute Snowden. I mean, where does it end? He talks tough, but you don't. It's kind of stupid talk because, as President Teddy Roosevelt says, you know, we got the quote now. Talk lowly and carry a big stick.
สนับสนุนโดย
เลือก Mitsubishi Pajero Sport ใหม่
Yeah, I know. If I were the girl, I would feel bad.
Or a man
My life
married
is
to a
part
woman.
of your life, you see?
Or a man married to a woman like Valerie Plame. Remember Valerie Plame?
Yeah.
I mean, there's any professional is basically living two lives.
And you too. Are you living with two
Why do you
lives?
say that? Why do you
Well, because you have done a lot of movies that sort of contrast one another. How is this one compared to all the best movies you have made so far? Where does it rank in terms of your own excitement?
Well, first of all, everyone is a year, 2 years at work, so you're really in the moment. Every movie, even the ones that failed at the box office or with the critics, I love them in the same way that you'd love all your children. It's just I can't rank them. You know, I wouldn't do that to them. They're too precious to me. They're a body of work. But I'd say, you know, in the movies that the two hats thing. I mean, I don't know. You see, you could be a judge of that. You could say I wear many different hats because I wore different subject matters.
Sure.
Football, finance,
Politics,
war, you know,
Wall Street.
And there's love stories in all these movies. If you look a little closer, there's always a woman that, in my case, matters.
Yeah.
She makes a difference. Heaven and Earth I did in Thailand here in 1992 is all about this woman who's a Vietnamese woman, true story. So each film is its own thing, but two hats. Maybe one hat would be the filmmaker, and the other hat is a citizen who feels outraged that the government is doing this.
So on this one, you are working like an impartial journalist, just portraying what actually happens to a person without adding your own opinion.
Exactly, because you'd be.
But that's not drama. That's not movie. You see.
Well, you be the judge. The truth, I couldn't. If I'm handled the responsibility of representing somebody's life, I've got to be. I have to have some. Most of the time, I have to have a consultation. With George Bush, I didn't.
No, right.
And Richard Nixon was dead.
No, yeah.
But, or with the Kennedy family, I had no cooperation. But I went ahead because.
But you had an opinion with all these personality movies. You had your own opinion, and the movie
but sometimes
show
you don't want to bring it in. You talk about it maybe afterward, but you don't. The George Bush movie was considered very sympathetic to him. Empathetic. As well as the Nixon movie. Neither president did I admire at all. No, but I made the movies as honestly as I could, walking in their shoes. So I would say this is the same with Mr. Snowden. I may admire him but I'm walking in his shoes.
You try to hide your own admiration of him.
Yeah. Well, you're hiding your, yes, that's what I'm trying to say, two hats. You have to keep them apart. But if I can make a movie about Snowden that's admiring, I can make a movie about Nixon that is also fair, but it's not admiring. I think, you see what I'm talking about?
Sure, yeah, I understand. Because in a way you are producing a documentary. Another way to look at it is fiction. And I don't know, you sometimes mix the two?
Well,
movie,
for example,
drama, and documentary?
They're different,
Docudrama,
they're different genres completely. I've done 7 documentaries. Documentaries free me up. I mean, I feel there's 2 types of documentaries. One has been the interview, which I've done 5 of, and the other one is a formal classical documentary like Untold History of the United States, which is all fact checked. Everything.
With any of your personal opinion?
We do,
mixed
but you
in.
can see the difference. You feel it.
Would Michael Moore doing the same thing as you do on Snowden?
No, because Snowden is a drama. Michael Moore's not working with actors, not working with sets.
No. But if you got a chance to talk to Snowden.
And also we had dialogue we created the dialogue behind closed doors between him and his girlfriend. And at the NSA, we're condensing a huge amount of material. I mean, he had several superior officers, but there's only one in the movie who's a free-for-all. He ranges between agencies. So that's condensation. But I mean, his superiors all sound like that. That's when we talk to him about superiors, what they're saying. And if you remember, there's things about, he states the case for the surveillance state. He talks about getting all the information. We prevented World War III. America is the great country that without that global system, the United States could no longer operate as the first power in the world. But that's the way he sees it. He thinks the Iraq War, the supervisor, is a disaster. He says you don't have to love your politicians to be a patriot.
Right. Are you doing a movie on Julian Assange, WikiLeaks? No, why not?
No,
you like him?
Why do you suggest that?
Well, because he probably was more interesting in another way than Snowden.
That's true.
Maybe he's not as square as you mentioned.
No, he's not square at all. No,
You've
Julian
met
is
him.
very smart.
You've met him, Julian.
I've met him twice. Very smart.
So why is it that nothing has happened?
Well, they did make a movie about Julian. It was called The Fifth Estate. You should see it. It's a good movie. And the problem with Julian is his character upsets people. He's that way, and people don't. He's brusque and he's intelligent.
Yes.
So people. I think that Snowden it was kind of picture perfect. Because he's such a, he's young, he's faceless. He's doing it for other people. He's a bit of a shining knight, but he is. If I saw the flaws, I would have pointed them out. He sounds to me the same in 2014 as he does now. He hasn't changed that way. He's really into reform, democracy. He's totally worried about a George Orwell 1984 state, which is quite possible with this way the world is technically wired.
So World War III would be somewhere in your...
Oh, God, no, I don't... No,
because it's politics, war for you?
Yeah, I don't... You know that one critic said to me, he said, he wrote this, and he said, the problem with Oliver Stone films is that critics always go into it expecting to see something or wanting to see something, and you're doing it differently each time.
Right.
It throws people and they don't handle it. So sometimes my reviews are pretty mixed because they can be very nasty because they expect, I don't know what they expect on Snowden exactly, but it is what it is.
But no, they expected something from you, not about Snowden.
But why can't
Did you go into a project trying to surprise people? Do you go into a new project saying, I'm going to surprise all my critics?
Well, I can't possibly win that game. I have to stay true to my heart and keep working in that direction. That's what Buddhism is about. You can't. There's days you block up and you really said, I hate those people, this and that. If you just keep positive and keep going and trying to see the light, you can go on. You know what I'm saying? It's harder at 70.
I know. 70, huh? So how many movies have you made so far? Have you lost count?
No, I remember every one of them as a director. As a director, 20. as a writer, another 5 or 6, and or co-writer, and producer. I produced a few movies in the 1990s, including Joy Luck Club, which you may have seen. But no, if I ever do a 21st movie, it would be the end of that career probably, if I can get to do it. But I don't know, you know. I just want to breathe right now because I'm in this Snowden world, and it's sad to see this world changing beneath my eyes. I am. Perhaps I am through with the world, as you suggest. Or the world is through with me. But, you know, I'm not necessarily interested in where it's going with this surveillance. And this propaganda wars have grown. I mean, the ability of the United States to influence the world war situation is incredible. They developed cyber warfare, which they use extensively to attack. They want to know everything. So this sets up a new world that I never... When I read 1984 as a young man, I thought, what a great story, but it's never going to happen.
No. Now you're not too sure.
I am sure now.
It will happen.
I am positive it has happened. You don't know what's going on. I think that we are being...
So that's scary.
It's very scary, but it's also joyless. It's a joyless
So what depresses you these days?
It doesn't seem to be hope for peace. I mean, you accept too easily that in the United States we don't have any peace candidate. You forgot the days of George McGovern running against Richard Nixon, or Dukakis running against Bush, and even Carter running against Ford. There was a
peace and war
sense here
right?
when Clinton came in. He talked about vaguely of a peace dividend after the Soviet Union had fell. That never happened. More wars, more NATO expansion. Obama, oh man, finally we might have a peace candidate. Nobel Peace Prize, right? More wars, more wars, more surveillance, and now more cyber. So, you know what I'm saying? The odds now are getting pretty slim. You give up on reform.
Who are going to vote for this time?
I'm not going to vote for the two candidates.
No,
they're both,
not Hillary Clinton, not Trump?
They're both war candidates. They both want more surveillance, they want more war, they want more cyber, they want to make America stronger, you know, that usual. I would vote for a peace candidate. Well, it would be a third or fourth parties. Or most.
The Green Party?
There's Jill Stein and there's
Gary
Johnson.
So you voted for Obama last time?
I voted for Obama.
He wasn't a peace candidate, was he?
In 2008 he was, and he said, as you see in the movie, we'll have a transparent government. And Snowden believed it, and he stuck with it for another 5 years until he had enough.
So how has American politics changed? Are you upset?
Increasingly, I mean, maybe it always was, but it's increasingly fraudulent. It's about money, how much money you spend. And the message gets so simplified by the time it gets to TV. That's another problem, is the media. It's a corporate media. They play big ball. It's all, and big ball meets big politics, and then any fine thought is kind of washed away. You just need a theme, something that catches on. And you get elected. But it's nothing to do with the world. That there was more thought, more honesty. Not always, but I mean...
Maybe we are getting old, talking about the past.
I don't mind getting old. I don't mind...
Nothing wrong with getting old.
How do young people see anything unless some older person tells them, well, this happened before and before and before. Like this is another war right out of Vietnam, out of Iraq, out of Syria, out of Afghanistan, a 16-year war. It's crazy.
So what's wrong with Hillary Clinton?
What's wrong with her?
You're not voting for her?
I'm not voting for her now.
What's
but
wrong with that?
I don't want to, I mean, that's not to say that Trump is better.
Briefly. What's wrong
she's
with
got more
both?
Experience than Trump. That's very important. But, you know, if you really look at her record, she was one of the worst foreign secretaries we ever had. She was involved in the destruction of Libya. She voted for Iraq, the Iraq invasion. She voted again. She was part of the surge. She backed that. Then she backed certainly the surge in Afghanistan, which put Obama into a hole. And then Syria. I mean, the whole concept of regime change in Syria is her baby. So, I mean, this regime change brings chaos to this world. So I worry about, and her statements on Russia, very dangerous, very dangerous. I think there's a mechanism by which she will win. She is going to win. I don't doubt that. But I think there's hope. There's a mechanism inside our country that the super government, the secret government that runs things that will not get too far out of hand because they make a fortune from creating weapons, the military-industrial complex. Now, they don't want to see that go away. If she actually goes to war with Russia, we will lose completely our economy. And that's not good for them.
No.
They just want to stay on top of the world and make money. So I think that they would muzzle her, I would hope. But I would worry about her because she's surrounded by neoconservatives.
What's wrong with Trump?
You're funny. He's not a serious candidate. I mean, he doesn't have the experience, and he doesn't seem to be. He's also, I mean, aside from some things that make sense, like why are we supporting NATO? What is NATO? And why are we belligerent with China, Russia, and Iran? He's trying. He also then he contradicts it, and he wants more military might, more surveillance. He wants to execute Snowden. I mean, where does it end? He talks tough, but you don't. It's kind of stupid talk because, as President Teddy Roosevelt says, you know, I got the quote now. Talk lowly and carry a big stick. You know? In other words, let your actions be your words. I think any president has to be a diplomat first of all. A smart one.
So he talks.
My favorite one was as you know, was Franklin Roosevelt because he made this thing work with everybody. He was very inclusive. So was John Kennedy at the end of his career. And McGovern was a great candidate, but you don't want to talk about that.
No, that would be another hour or so. But thank you very much, Oliver.